Good evening, residents of Everett, Washington. I'd like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting of May 17th, 2023. City Council meets all requirements of the State of Washington Open Public Meetings Act. Community members are welcome to join either in person, remote via Zoom, or by calling in. For those who wish to participate in a future meeting by way of Zoom, you'll find instructions to register for public comment on the City of Everett website under the City Council Department. Please note, we do not allow comments on any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office. We also do not accept comments focused on personal matters that are unrelated to city business. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Franklin,
Excused.
Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Councilmember Schwab.
Here.
Councilmember Fossey.
Here.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Here.
Councilmember Vogely.
Here.
Vice President Tui.
Here.
President Stonecipher.
Here. And I'd like to ask Vice President Tui, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
You bet. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Councilmember Fossey, would you please read the land acknowledgement?
Gladly. The City Council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Shtahobes people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the May 10th meeting?
So moved.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab.
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey.
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes.
Vice President Tui.
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. Good evening, Angie. Do we have anyone signed up to speak for public comment this evening?
Good evening, President Stonecipher. We do. We have 4 people here in chambers, and I will start with Allison. If you could please come to the podium. If Allison's here, there you are. And if you could state your full name and city of residence for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Allison Cusper. I live here in Everett. I'm a resident of the Bayside neighborhood, District 1. While not entirely pertinent to today's agenda, it is important that I'm heard today. You may remember me. I spoke to you a few months ago via Zoom at the February 22nd council meeting about my safety concerns as a community member and parent on the heels of a school lockdown at Whittier and a shooting on Colby. I shared that we felt forced to sell our home due to safety concerns. Many of you responded to me by highlighting the good things happening in town as opposed to addressing the bad. And after plenty of consideration, we decided to slow down and put our plans on hold. Unfortunately for us, our fears were realized last week when we woke up to somebody breaking into our home. My husband came face to face with the man breaking into our home in the kitchen, in the dark, and in that moment, what most of you surely thought was an irrational fear I had back in February became our reality. We are privileged enough to have a security system that woke us up and that he didn't get far. Many of our neighbors do not have the luxury of a security system, and they may not have been so lucky. If Chief Templeman is in attendance, I'd like him to know that our calls and voicemails to officers went unanswered for 5 days. We were notified via text that our case was closed without getting my statement or collecting our security footage. I contacted the county prosecutor myself and was told it will be a month before we hear anything. We've been told we cannot have this man's name to file a protection order. Incredulously, this man has not set foot in jail despite being found immediately. He may not have taken anything tangible, but what he stole from us was priceless. The small amount of safety and security we had been clinging on to. The fear of a person hiding in the shadows of our home while getting up in the middle of the night can no longer be written off as paranoia. I'm plagued by waves of emotion when the memory of holding on to my crying children at 1:30 a.m. while on the phone with 911 wash over me. I recall the sound of my husband yelling downstairs, followed by a long silence and being unable to tell 911 if he was okay or not. I spent my Mother's Day researching the legality of barbed wire instead of relaxing. We live close to the UCC shelter and watched as the Hope Church deal fell apart. We hope that you move quickly with your grant and that you take our family's experience as well as feedback from Glacier View and apply it to your decision. A location in a residential area does not make sense. And you cannot afford to be this lenient on crime. The solutions that you've been considering are not perfect. However, waiting for the perfect solution has allowed these problems to fester and grow. You can make amends with local businesses, but you cannot make amends with a family who has been stripped of their peace and then ignored. Council, please think of my family when you aren't sure what the right decision is on matters of community safety and drug-related crimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Next, I have Bryce, if you could please come to the podium, followed by Alan. Lori? Kenny? And please state your full name and city of residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, my name is Bryce Diggle. I am from Delta neighborhood in Everett. I want to talk about homelessness, and so as someone who has lived experience for 20 years as a homeless person, off and on, living out of cars as I complete my bachelor's degree. We definitely need more services and support systems for this is homeless. A lot of our problems stem from the fact that people are living on the streets and don't have the support services they need. A large group of the people on the streets are disabled people, like myself. And we don't have the services provided by the state or federal government. We have a 22% acceptance rates for disability through Social Security Administration, based on talking to the ARC of King County. Fraud isn't that high. Fraud isn't over 70%. We are not being supported, and a lot of us have ended up on the streets. We need to make sure that we're not following the war on drugs policies of the past, instead focusing on housing people through any method we can, including putting projects on hold that are not necessities, because housing is a human right and a necessity we need to deal with as soon as possible. We're in a crisis. This is a state of emergency. There's more and more people on the streets. There's more and more disabled people on the streets. We need to find places for them to live. We also need to increase affordable housing, and we need to focus on mental health support systems and drug rehab. We should not be criminalizing drug use. We should be helping people get off drugs. Jailing them will not solve anything. I also been talking with people in the unincorporated part of South Everett, and I would like to see them at the next redistricting to actually become a district, be included in the districts, and be incorporated into the city. I would love to hear about your thoughts on why they weren't included, because that is a large population area near I-5 corridor, where almost all the land is being used for housing and businesses, and it's not really empty farmland out in the country. It's highly populated areas that should be represented on the council. I'm gonna end my time there. Thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. Alan, if you could come to the podium. And please state your full name and city of residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, hi, Alan Miller, Everett. Thank you. I hate to rehash a lot of the stuff that I talked about like 3 weeks ago. but I'll read some of it and fill in some blanks. Good evening. Since my last presentation a few weeks ago concerning not just the vacant structures at 2519 Fulton Avenue, but all vacant structures in the city of Everett, and I am reporting the following. So I did get an email from Tony from Code Compliance. That was April 26th. He said, we performed our initial inspection yesterday. We have a follow-up discussion with the police department for the property. Once we complete that process, we will continue to move forward with our enforcement. Well, the same thing is happening what's happened over the last 10 years here. They've come out, they've written letters, he's mowed the grass, he's cut back a few dead things around here and there, but you know, the code's got to have to come out again, tell them to cut the grass, and also to take a look at the front tree because it's a fire hazard. Plus, it's a hazard to the health. I don't know which council member is part of this area, but please drive by it, and I think you'll concur with me that something needs to be done. You take a look at that tree, one match underneath it, it's going to go up in a ball of flames. So I haven't got any follow-ups from Tony since this correspondence, so hopefully they're continuing to address the issue. I also corresponded to the fire department, and in my letter goes, I have over the last 10 years tried to convince the owner of 2519 Fulton Avenue to either repair or remove the shell of a building that once was a livable residence. I have had no positive solutions from the owner, so the city, Everett's police force continues responding to complaints. So I've asked the fire department to do an inspection and to forward a copy to me and also to the mayor's office. And why I feel we need to bring them into focus and onto this is that the fire department in their mission statement states that the mission of the Everett Fire Department Fire Marshal's Office is to protect life and property by preventing fires and other emergencies before they happen. Far too often, these fires have endangered our community by destroying businesses and homes. And worst of all, injuries of, and taking lives. So there it states that they can come out and they should come out and inspect this property. But the report or the response I got from the fire department is thank you for the email. Unfortunately, the fire department does not enforce the International Fire Code of Everett Missional Code on R3 occupancies, single-family residence. Well, we're getting a double standard here because it says that they do and they will. So I'm hoping that the city of Everett can put a little weight behind their mission statement and get them out to look at this property because it is a fire trap. And let's see here. And I just wrote, it's a sad day when the Everett Fire Department acknowledges they do not serve and protect the residents of Everett. What negotiation tactics were used to pass these fire safety issues to code compliance? We need the fire department to check this out because it's a fire hazard. And let's see here. So of today, how many hours through the years has the city spent on trying to force compliance on this and other vacant structures? Simple solution, implement a new code that follows the city of Chicago. Their policies require that the owners need to secure the property, insure the property, register the property, post the property.
Your 5 minutes are up, Ellen. I need you to wrap up.
Pardon me?
I need you to wrap up. It's been 5 minutes.
Oh, it has, okay. Okay, I'm almost done. Register the property, post the property, maintain the property. You know, your inaction is not just affecting me, but the whole neighborhood surrounding these structures. Inaction promotes crime, loss of property value, and emotional health issues. And I'm just hoping that something can be done. And I will be following up next week, and hopefully we got some answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Last we have is Mary, if you could come to the podium. And please state your full name and city residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, everybody. Mary Rollins, Everett City, District 2. Hi, Council. Back again. Went out of order this time. I didn't speak before the thing. So, third and final reading tonight, adopt an ordinance criminalizing the intentional obstruction of a city public works worker engaging in employees' official duties. So whether or not this ordinance passes tonight, I don't want the comments that I've made over the last few weeks to go unanswered, which is, let's look at all of the ordinances surrounding everybody that works for the city and kind of make that either kind of equal or the same, or, you know, get rid of all the inconsistencies, add the people that weren't added before, you know, people that are working on the city's behalf. I know they keep putting forward that these are only for emergencies, but I haven't heard one yet. When they've spoken about this, I haven't heard one emergency yet. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because they're really pushing this, and I've heard them pushing this, but I haven't heard yet one emergency that this would qualify to pass another ordinance. But please, take a look at all of the ordinances regarding safety of employee and workers and whoever's working on behalf of the city to make sure they're all kind of even and evenly distributed, and some aren't, you know, just negligent, or some are, you know, all the different varieties of, you know, infraction or whatever. Anyway, that's it for me tonight. Thank you so much, and glad you're here. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary. And President Stonecipher, that concludes our public comments.
Very good. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to council comments and liaison reports, starting with Councilmember Ryan.
Good evening. Thanks, everybody. For people in the back, I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure if that's anybody else too, but just wanted to, it's a little tinny, just wanted to make a quick mention. Better. This week I attended the Glacier View Neighborhood Association meeting on Monday, and it was their inaugural meeting, which was fantastic. They'll be doing their officer votes at the next meeting, which is Monday, June 5th, coming up pretty quickly. So I encourage folks in the Glacier View neighborhood to join and participate. That same night I also traveled on over to the Lowell neighborhood for the Lowell Neighborhood Association meeting, and enjoyed hearing from master gardeners about ways that we should be best planting our seeds this summer. Earlier tonight, we had our Parks and Quality of Life Committee, of which I co-chair with Councilmember Zarlingo, and had a great rundown of all the great summer events coming up in the city, and also the library summer reading program. All events are listed on, all summer events are listed on everettwa.gov, and the libraries has all of their great events on epls.org. I wanted to remind everybody that this Friday is Bike Everywhere Day, so get on your bike and ride. And I also wanted to thank our commenters tonight. I really appreciate you coming, especially Allison. Thanks for, that was hard. And I heard you, so thank you for sharing. And I also wanted to echo your request for an update on the offer from the county for $4 million to relocate the UCC shelter. I haven't heard anything since then, if there's how the logistics would work to possibly accept the money and what next steps would look like. So I'd appreciate an update from administration on steps that the city's taking to alleviate that situation. Thank you.
Thank you. That sounds like a good update for all of us. Councilmember Schwab.
Yeah, this week I attended the Harborview, Seahurst, Glenhaven, it's a long name, neighborhood group. And they're planning to get ready for many events coming up. So I would encourage all of you that are watching and that are here in the room that please get involved. There are a lot of methods and ways here in the city. And our neighborhood group system is amazing, so please get involved. It's a great place to meet your neighbors and get connected. I'd also like to thank Allison and those who spoke tonight. Thank you, Mary. It's always a pleasure to hear from you.
Councilmember Fosse.
Thanks. I'm also hearing a little bit of the echo, but I'm not sure if that is something that can be fixed at the moment. I wanted to express my appreciation for Allison for coming back. If you could share your information, contact information with Angie, and Angie can hand that over to me, I would like to chat about some of the public safety things. And I would also like to second the update from administration on the UCC situation. With regards to the policies, with the Bayside neighborhood, I was unfortunately unable to attend the meeting yesterday because you may have saw that there was, the governor had called a special session to actually address, so there will be some new statewide laws being put into place that hopefully will have impacts throughout the cities and counties that will make a difference. So I'm sure you'll see there will be more news and things like that coming out of, but that was why I was unable to attend the Bayside meeting, was because I was working on the statewide policy with my other hat. So, and with regard to the vacancy and compliance, I was wondering if administration could send us some sort of update to the current policy in regards to how we're addressing vacancies and things like that, and so we can take a look at that and seeing how they compare. That would be helpful. To the other speaker, Mary Rollins, thank you. I don't think have we received any update from the administration on that request to have kind of a assessment or a list of the variety of ordinances and different levels for different worker protection that she's referencing?
We have had some discussions at the staff level that we were planning to share tonight, so Ramsey could do so now.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so we are going to undertake looking at the various different laws that we have to put together an analysis so you guys can see what different protections we have and how they differ, and then see what action you want to take from there. And with our current staffing, we anticipate in the next 6 months to be able to have something to you that'll give you a comprehensive picture of what the laws are for the different levels of protection.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Councilmember Zerlingo.
Well, with respect to those laws of protection, it sounds like to some degree, like a lot of ordinances, they come piecemeal because they were designed to handle issues in the past, things like people reading meters. And what we've heard from Public Works is that they've had some issues in the recent past, and that's what this is focused on. So I think both it's sensible to go forward with what we've got, discussion for a little later on, but also to review other things because inconsistencies creep in or are assembled by successive actions and ordinances over the years. It's true all over the place. We won't cure them all, but if we see them, we'll be happy to work on those. A couple of items. Had the chance yesterday to welcome and speak with a visiting group of international trade and business officials from Latin America. It was a diverse group of several dozen government and business and trade officials, also some technology experts. They're here in the Puget Sound region visiting for about a week. They're looking on that yesterday at Everett and the Cascade Industrial Center in Marysville and Arlington as potential places for expansion and partnership. This certainly fits with our goal of being a place where you can design things and you can make things. It's a place for business and industry. The officials I spoke with hailed from Brazil, Peru, Chile, Ecuador, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Mexico, Panama, and Colombia. And then for some reason we're joined by one official from Denmark and one from Armenia, neither of which are in Latin America. But it was really, well, we were part of a really interesting panel discussion, and they asked some very insightful questions about jobs and prosperity, green energy, action to reduce general environmental and climate impacts. And I think in developing their economies, they describe many of the same problems and concerns we deal with here, particularly housing costs, transit and commuting, environmental damage and remediation, child care, and workforce development. Really remarkable to see the similarities that way. So from agriculture to satellites, they're looking for cooperative opportunities to work with us and locate things here. And I think they now see Everett and the Cascade Industrial Center in a more clear and encouraging light. So neat stuff happening. It's nice that we can get some opportunities for some additional partnerships here. That's really what's built a lot of the commercial and industrial base here in Everett. One other thing, with all the complex issues and problems we focus on, it's also easy to lose track of some significant things our community members are doing every day. I want to express my appreciation for those who've enhanced our local character and sense of community with the local road sign romance. It started with a longtime Everett business and its well-established habit of using its landmark sign in creative ways. The recent and thoroughly charming development began with the Totem Diner sign, casting its eyes toward another landmark sign nearby at Pacific Stone saying, "I have a secret crush on the rake and shovel sign down the street." Now that's no way to keep a secret, but it is a way to enhance our sense of community, in addition to the way these businesses contribute to our city by providing jobs, important services and products, and tax revenue. And I'll note that it also generated this Love Fest generated some useful publicity for a nonprofit and got one or two other businesses in on the connection. So I'd like to acknowledge a couple of other Everett institutions, the Herald newspaper and My Everett News website, for spreading this good and really in the end important news. It's the kind of thing that makes me grateful to be a part of this community. So thanks to them. That's all for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Vogely.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for speaking your truth and your experience and your story. It's very important, and I hear you. I wish I had more to say than that, and I wish I had more answers, and hopefully they are forthcoming, and I know that we'll discuss some of these things at length. Last night, I went to the Everett Public Library Board of Trustees meeting as the liaison, and also heard about some of that same stuff at tonight's Parks and Quality of Life Committee meeting. Let's see. There was just this one really great piece of information. Let's see if I can just remember it. The library, although it does not get a lot of really any maybe revenue for the city, the return on investment is pretty amazing. So for every $1 that we spend on the library, we get back $2.27. So even though they're not making us money, they're making us a whole lot of great experience, and being able to support the library either as a city with the budget or as sponsors, donors, all of the things, because they have two different budgets. There's one in the general, 110, and then there's endowments and stuff, which is 152, which, but they are very important. That's my update there. And the Westmont Holly Neighborhood Association has put out a survey to ask about type of activities and projects they should work on, and you can find that at westmontholly.com, and also on Facebook. I'm sure they're on Facebook. And then there will be a neighborhood gathering on Saturday, June 3rd at 2 p.m. at the Evergreen Branch Library to share the results, and Sound Transit will be there as well to talk about light rail questions. So wanted to make sure that you can go or fill out that survey, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Toohey.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate and thank my colleagues for saying a lot of things I wanted to say about a lot of these issues, so thank you for that. Look forward to the protection analysis from staff, and really want to thank the folks that came tonight and spoke. Really heard your stories, and we really want to work on seeing some improvements for those. And anyway, thank you for sharing, and I know it's not easy, so thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, and I too wanted to thank those who came out to speak this evening. Allison, I hear your story, and I'd like to ask administration if we can get Chief Templeman to contact her as soon as possible and connect on what's going on over there. Mr. Miller, I wanted to let you know, thank you for coming, but you're also a resident of District 1, so your district representative is Councilmember Fossey, and then Vice President Tui and I are also at-large council members, so we represent you as well. Of course, the whole council represents you, but that is your person of contact. And Mary Rollins, thank you for coming back and talking to us about the item that's on our agenda later. And I appreciate very much administration taking a look at this, or the legal team taking a look at this over time. I think it makes sense to try to figure out how we could sync up some of those different ordinances and make it a safe place for all of our city workers. That is all I have, and we will move on. Do we have an administrative update this evening?
Just to avoid redundancy, we will follow up on the items that our public commenters commented on tonight, and have the particular staff reach back out to those individuals as well. And there has been some discussions with the county on the offer of the $4 million to identify an opportunity to relocate the UCC church, working to clarify, kind of put some meat around the bone, if you will, around that. And so I'm sure staff will be happy to come back and speak with you further in the near future.
Thank you. Now on to City Attorney. Mr. Rammerman, what do you have for us this evening?
No comment. We are asking for an executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110, sub 1, sub F, estimated to last 1 hour and 15 minutes with no announcement to follow.
Thank you. We will move on to our consent agenda. It has been requested that we remove item 4 to the action agenda, so we will consider items 1 through 3 on our consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Councilor Ryan moves approval of consent agenda items 1 through 3.
Second the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Vice President Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Stonecipher?
Yes, and
President
we will move on
Stonecipher?
to,
Sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
I did just receive an additional public comment for the next item.
for item 4?
Sorry, 5.
Item 5, okay, great. We're going to move to our action agenda. We'll move to item 4, and then don't let me forget to call the public commenter. Item 4, authorize the mayor to sign the lease agreement with Swamp Creek and Western Railroad Association at Everett Station. Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion and a second. Thank you, Councilmember Schwab.
Yeah, I just had some questions about if there's anyone here in the building. Oh, good, thank you. If you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit about it, I'm intrigued by the opportunity to host that type of.
I'm Darcy Bird with Real Property. Hi, I'm Darcy Bird with Real Property. We have Glenn Farley here with the Swamp Creek Western Railroad Association, and he's happy to answer any questions.
Council President, with your permission, I would just maybe ask for a 2 or 3 minute little presentation in which you have mine.
Absolutely, please.
That's okay? I know maybe you didn't come prepared, but you're here.
I didn't know, I did not, I
Well,
didn't
if you
come
could just
prepared
speak a little-
with the presentation directly,
Yeah.
being on the consent calendar, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have. But to give you a bit of background, Swamp Creek and Western, we lost our lease after nearly 45 years in the Edmonds Freight Room in the Edmonds Depot. We rebuilt the large model railroad, HO scale, which talked about and addressed really the coming of the railroads here, how they crossed the Cascade Mountains, how they interfaced with the economy and the seaport on the west side. A much more generic form, since we had multiple railroads coming into this part of the state historically. What we are intending to build here in the Everett Depot in the space as part of our agreement, and thank you for, I want to say thank you on behalf of our organization to the city of Everett for making this possible, because we got a fairly scary letter saying that because they're going to double track through Edmonds, if you've been down there, it's just a single track, and so that's going to basically cause them to have to reorganize the building to accommodate that. So fortunately, I think we're going to land on our feet here. Our intention is to build a railroad that is going to very historically focus on the city of Everett, be centered around the 1950s, where you had 4 different railroads coming in here, the Great Northern, Northern Pacific, and the Milwaukee Road, and you've probably heard of a railroad called the Everett Monte Cristo, which kind of had a short history. I don't know how we're going to incorporate that. You also had interurban lines and everything else. So through various public showings, we've had maybe 30,000 people by some estimates over the course of our 45 years in Edmonds at our various shows over time to help express that history to them. And we want to take that to the next level here in Everett.
Thank you. Will that be open to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to have to, as we go through, as we add to our membership, in terms of our staffing and things like that, we're nonprofit, all volunteer, to be able to say, what can we do? Obviously, we've had Christmas shows before, National Train Day. We also, because Edmonds, City of Edmonds had a number of events, like the Waterfront Festival, et cetera, we would also be open during those times. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and we'll see what we can do in terms of being able to staff up as many events as possible.
Thank you.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Your exhibit would be an answer to one of the questions we were asked yesterday by one of the Latin American delegates about how things got here,
Yes.
the railroads that came and that sort of thing. And a lot easier to answer in maybe a different modality than words from me or some sort of illustration.
Well, I mean, the railroad system here is how the economy of Everett ties in with the rest of North America. Canada's not that far away. You'll see locomotives down here from the Canadian National all the time. You can get on a passenger train there at the Everett station and go just about anywhere on the continent as well. You can do the same thing in the air. In a way, trains and planes are in the same business.
Well, I see that people learn in different ways, especially young people. I hope you have arrangements or can make them with our school system to do trips and maybe a cooperative agreement with like the Children's Museum, because it's a way for people to learn different things.
And I mean, and because Everett has such a fabulous children's museum, and I bring my grandson down here, and he really enjoys that, and it's, this would be, we won't be able to open full-time, just to make that clear, but to be able to make those opportunities available.
All right. Thanks for
See what
coming.
develops. Thanks.
Councilmember Fosse.
It's really nice to see this come full circle. I think I had brought this up to the city a while ago when somebody had mentioned it, and I don't know if it was Patrick Hall or somebody from the Historical Commission, but I'm really, really thrilled to see that the city has moved forward with this, and it seems pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So we're very excited about it,
Yeah.
We're all raring to go.
Any other questions or comments? Well, I'll just ask for city staff. I noticed that our lease rate, based on the square footage, is significantly below market. Are we allowed to do that? Is that, I mean, how does that handle? What's the legality of that in terms of the gift of public funds, kind of?
I'll come up for the record.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you have something like this that has a great public benefit and so few resources, we are happy to offset the public benefit as the value that we're bringing in. But also, they are paying some rent to cover the capital costs that are associated with any sort of day-to-day costs. They are going to be pretty cheap to have in there, though.
Yeah, no, just to be, I'm glad that they're there. I was just curious.
Sure,
Does
yeah.
this set a precedent for other lease rates in the building?
Got it. No, it's not. It's a not-profit organization, and also you have, on the other hand, the public benefit.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan? Yes. Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Vice President Tui?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes. Item 5, Council Bill 2303-18, third and final reading. Adopt an ordinance criminalizing the intentional obstruction of a city public works worker engaging in the employee's official duties, amending Chapter 10.12 EMC. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. We have-
Councilmember Schwab, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Questions or comments? We do have public comment.
Paula, if you'd like to come to the podium.
Thank you. Paula Townsell, District 3. First of all, I'll apologize. I had a huge quadruple coffee, so this could go all kinds of ways. With that in mind, we did patiently wait as staff was working through to try and explain in committee exactly why this is important and the issues. Those issues we've been hearing from staff about the emergencies, the emergent nature of the reason we must have this in our code. I would disagree that we have not seen the emergent nature in those examples we've been provided. They could be holding the good stuff back, I don't know. But with that in mind, we have a patchwork in this code, and I am not happy with it. I don't believe we should be getting ahead by adopting another policy that we then later have to compare with the mishmash we have in front of us. I say we put this one on hold. I say we look at how code currently is classifying all the criminal activities of obstruction of city employees in all parts, and then we come back and visit this. At a minimum, I can't see why we need more than just a simple infraction. This just doesn't fit in with the others. Burdening our law enforcement at this time, when we have so much going on in our community, so many places to be addressing it. If it is staff's belief that this is part of the solution to what's going on in the bigger community with the problems we're having in public spaces, then we need to hear that honestly so the community can get behind this ordinance as it's written. I don't believe right now the way it's written that it should be passed. I did hear talk about how the utility easements and things on people's personal property, private property, that they may not be aware there's a right for the city to come on board. I believe that most property owners are quite aware of easements and water features on their property. We don't typically have main access on a line in someone's backyard. That isn't how engineering is done. That isn't how water lines are installed. So I was confused by some of the things that I heard. So I would ask council, look at this. Is this the time? Can we table it? Can we look at remedying all of the staff needs for the city of Everett? I would like all of the staff protected that serves in Everett. They're all important. But I think we need to be equal about it, and I think we're having a lot of trouble right now with criminal code and what we're asking of our police department. We're understaffed, we're underfunded. We gotta stop patchworking this together. We've gotta be comprehensive. So thank you for your thoughtful time tonight on this ordinance.
Thank you, Paula. That's all the commenters we have on that.
Thank you. And council discussion. Any questions or comments? Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
No.
Vice President Tui?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes. And now we have one proposed action item that's already been into the record, and I just want to make sure we don't have any questions or comments about the library building envelope improvement project. Hearing none, we will now recess into our executive session, which is expected to last 1 hour and 15 minutes with no action or announcement to follow. The city council is still in executive session, and we are requesting 10 more minutes with no announcement anticipated. The city council is out of executive session, and we are now adjourned.